Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Iris and this is the channel Iris Gem. So we're just going to jump right into a real quick story time about how I was in fine arts and some interesting things that happened then. So let's just get right into it. Alright, so some real quick background of what exactly fine arts was. So fine arts was basically like a talent show for the Assemblies of God. And if you don't know, the Assemblies of God is kind of like a denomination of Christianity, or a sect, if you would. And a lot of the Assemblies of God churches in our region, which would be Colorado and Utah, would all meet in the Colorado Rocky Mountains, and we would kind of showcase talents. Some would sing, some would dance. If you were like me, you preach short sermons, because that's just what I did. And then kind of the people who ranked really high in the judges' scores would be invited to go to nationals. And then you'd go to nationals and you'd compete there and you would see how well you did against everybody in the nation. But since we have about hundreds upon hundreds of teenagers all in a resort, there's some pretty funny stories that happened during this time. So let's just jump right into what those stories were. So this story is more about getting to fine arts more than anything else, because fine arts usually starts somewhere around early spring. So we were all driving up in our big school bus and the snow was heavy, because snow in the Colorado Rockies can last to like the early summer. So we were going up in our school bus and all of a sudden we get stopped in standstill traffic because of how much snow there is on a mountain pass, which is very dangerous. So we kind of pulled the handbrake on the bus and we decided that we had the perfect opportunity to go ahead and put the chains on the bus so we would be good to go. So the youth leaders went out and they started putting chains on the bus. I lent my gloves to a friend of mine who was a bit more handy with stuff like that so he could help the youth leaders. And then we were standing in this traffic for so long that a lot of us actually decided that we had to go to the bathroom. So you would see the girls leave and they would all leave in like pair of threes and they would go off on the side of the road and they would go all the way down to the forest for privacy. And that's how they did that. But me and the guys were looking at each other and we thought to ourselves, like, you know what would be really funny? Is if we can go home and say that we peed on the side of the road. Because that's just how guys think, apparently. So me and like three other guys, we all rounded each other up and was like, alright, we're going to go pee on the side of the highway. So we march outside the bus. We're standing up in 5-foot deep snow, just like a couple yards away from that. All the traffic can see exactly what we're doing. So we just don't care about privacy, and we're just like peeing on the side of the road because we're stupid like that. I'm spelling my name out in the snow. We're like looking at where all the others are peeing, just to like see how big of like urine caves they could make, which was absolutely hilarious to see because we were like seriously measuring like how deep of a hole can you dig in the snow with your pee. It was really stupid, but we just had a great time doing it. Again, before we even got to fine arts, like a crazy story was happening. So when you get to fine arts, there's tons and tons of scrambling to get that last minute practice in so you can be the top of your game for the judges so you can get a good score. But we were still at a mountain resort, so we had like saunas, steam rooms, hot tubs, pools, all to our disposal so we could relax after the end of the day. So when me and my friends were chilling out in the sauna together, we were just, having fun doing our regular thing, just chatting. And this one middle schooler kid walks in and, he's just hanging out with us. We're not thinking much of him. And you can kind of tell that he's a little bit like one of those annoying middle schoolers. And then suddenly, I get the idea in my head to try to challenge him to do something, thinking that there's no way that he would be dumb enough to do it. That he would definitely be too smart for this, despite being a little middle schooler kid. So I turn over to him and I said, hey man, bet you won't pee on those sauna rocks. He looks back at me, and he's like, you know what? Bet! I will pee on those sauna rocks. So I'm still trying to, like, challenge him and trying to figure out where his boundaries are, and, like, is he just talking, or is he actually going to do this? So I'm like, no, dude, there's no way you're going to do this. He's like, you know what, turn around. All of you in the sauna, turn around. So we're like, I look over to my friends, and we're all calling this kid's bluff. And we're all saying, like, yeah, there's no way he's going to do it. Nobody's that dumb. So we all turn around, and we go with it. So we're all turned around, and then suddenly, about a few seconds later, we just hear in the background, followed by the worst smell that I have ever smelled in my life. There is nothing that smells worse than evaporated urine in an enclosed environment. This was honestly the worst smell ever. It burned my nostrils. This kid actually peed on the sauna rocks. He looks back at us. He's looking proud of himself like, yeah, what's up? I'm the cock of the walk, y'all. I just peed on the sauna rocks. What you gonna do about it? We're just like, evacuate! It was so bad. We're all like running out of there. We're like going to the steam room or jumping in the pool trying to like cleanse ourselves of all of the evaporated urine which has just enveloped our bodies because it was so gross and it smelled so bad. We came back to that sauna like half an hour later and the smell was still there. And you know what was also still there? That kid! He was still in his own little private sauna with just like all the evaporated urine around him because he's like, oh, I don't care, it's my urine. And we're like, kid, you weren't actually supposed to do that. It was so bad. Like, in that point, I have never challenged another middle schooler like that ever again because I realized, I'm like, you know what, these middle schoolers will actually do that stuff and then think they look cool for doing it later. Because, oh my goodness, I just cannot believe that he did it. I'm still in disbelief that he did it to this day. Alright, so this story's a little bit interesting just because it involves me kind of embarrassing myself in public at fine arts. So what happens is, we're all in a hot tub together, indoors, me and like the rest of my youth group plus a few extra. And one of the members of my youth group brings up that they found a pool here, like on a map, but it was going to be about a half mile away. It was 35 degrees outside, snowing, lots of snow on the ground. So only about half of us were willing to brave this out. I was one of the only ones who brought my sandals with me, and that's why I was feeling so confident in this walk. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be walking in cold weather, but at least I'm going to have my sandals to protect me against the snow. And then one of these girls looks at me and says, hey, I don't have my sandals. Can I just use yours for this walk? And she was asking me super nice, and I decided, like, you know what? I'm going to be a nice guy today. Yeah, you can have my sandals, because I'm still feeling confident in myself because I'm used to cold weather like this. So I felt like, you know what? It's just a half mile, no problem. So we're walking through, and keep in mind, you got to keep in mind what we look like. So we're all in swimwear, right? Just like whatever you would wear in the pool. None of the guys are wearing swim shirts, so we all have towels wrapped around us to cover us and to keep us warm. And half of us are walking barefoot. All the girls, they're all in their one pieces with like towels wrapped around their waists or on their shoulders, depending on whatever was coldest for them. So we're all walking around almost half naked, walking around in 35-degree weather in the snow. And a lot of other people in the ski resort are looking at us because it's just what they see is just like this herd of penguins walking through with like towels wrapped around us like, yep, this is cool. This is just what we do every day. We're just making it over to the pool. Because we look absolutely ridiculous. And me in particular, I'm starting to get really cold feet because I'm trudging through snow in 35-degree weather and I'm not wearing my sandals, keep in mind, because I lent them to Margaret. And she looks at me and realizes how cold my feet were, and she asked me, like, hey, do you want a piggyback ride? And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. Don't worry about it. She asked me again a couple yards later. Now my feet are very cold, and I'm like, you know what? Fine, I'll take one. So we're walking over, and now you have to keep in mind how more ridiculous I look like at this point, is that I'm getting the piggyback ride from a female member of my youth group who I lent my sandals to. My towel keeps falling off my back, so I'm pretty much shirtless riding on the back of this girl in a one piece in the snow in the middle of public where everybody can see us. And I'm just like, you know what? I give up. My feet are cold. Y'all can stare at me as much as you want. I'm getting a piggyback ride and y'all aren't. So we make it over to the area where the pool is supposed to be, and guess what's not there? The pool. At least one that's open. We go there and we realize that it is closed. This pool area is closed and we cannot swim. So we literally walk about half a mile for nothing. So we all begin to run back to the hot tub because we're so cold. We've been out for like several minutes with like hardly anything on. Like even in the summertime, what we'd be wearing is somewhat questionable, but we're walking back now just kind of feeling defeated, like, oh, we walked out in the cold for nothing. I'm getting more piggybacks rides from this girl because I'm starting to like milk the moment and realizing how good it is to not be trudging barefoot through the snow. So we all walk back. We walk back to the hot tub, and we tell everybody. And of course, they have no sympathy for us because our youth group is full of a bunch of jerks. Just kidding, they're great people. But they're making fun of us for walking through the snow and all that. So that's just something. That's just one thing in case you wanted to know, like one embarrassing moment of my life. It was a little embarrassing at the time, but I was able to swallow my pride. And yeah, that was just how that happened. So overall, fine arts was like really fun thing to do. Everything from like the scrambling to get ready for your performance to having all your friends chilling out in a steam room together. It was just really fun. I have a lot more stories about this youth group yet to come, which I'm going to tell in later videos. So if you don't want to miss one of those videos, go ahead and subscribe. And if you have any feedback for me, please leave it down in the comments section so I can help improve this channel. And until next time, keep it interesting.